Does there seem to be any truth to the narrative that luck isn't good in cold outdoor games? I don't personally believe it, but was wondering your take.
Yeah, I had a couple people ask me about that, from Saturday and on. I didn't think Andrew Luck was great on Saturday at all. I didn't notice a ton of inaccuracy out of him. Like I mentioned, I'd say the bigger issues in the passing game was more so down the field stuff. But I did notice a few throws that just seemed off target. Even Patrick Mahomes had a few that was like, wait, what?
Just kind of landed in no man's
Yeah,
land.
like Tyreek, you can throw a sidearm to Travis Kelce, but you can't complete a pass against a soft zone coverage.
Yeah.
And I would say in general, most quarterbacks are probably worse in cold weather than they are in good weather. So I don't think there's too much to the narrative. I guess the Colts really didn't play many games this year in cold weather. I can't think of, Tennessee on New Year's Eve, I guess was a little bit cold. So yeah, I don't want to go down that path. I don't really think that this is a storyline. I think it's more of, can you win on the road in the playoffs? Because if you do that, the 4 losses have been in Baltimore, in New England, and in Kansas City. Those are really good teams, not great weather, and that's why like I mentioned earlier, it's important for the Colts to try and get home field moving forward, and it's important for the Colts to be able to run the football, and they didn't do that on Saturday.
Andrew wants to go back to Vinny's misses. He asked how big was a missed extra point and field goal. The Colts would have been down 7 at that point.
Huge. I would say the field goal, Joey. I mean, I don't know about you, but I never really thought the Colts had a chance once the first touchdown happened. To be honestly, maybe once Eric Ebron dropped the ball. I know that sounds stupid, but you just had a feeling that it was going to spiral downhill. At least I did. If you make that field goal at halftime, boom, it's 24-10, 2-possession game. Your defense had some stops in the second half. You
just feel a lot better going into the locker room than.
And I know some people are not on the momentum bandwagon in sports. I'm on it. I think momentum really impacts games. So I do think it was significant.
Football, especially. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Man, that was a short miss.
Really short.
23 yards?
Yep. This is from Cody Johnson. How's Deion Kane's rehab going?
He was in great spirits when I talked to him Sunday. He's been in that building 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I mean, I would say one thing I've noticed different with Chris Ballard in this regime, the IR guys stay in that building a lot. And they're in meetings, and they're still earning their paycheck to a degree,
And being a part of it.
Yes, and I think it's important for Deion Kane, a guy that had, a couple off-the-field hiccups at Clemson. It was key for him to be in that room, in that culture. But, yeah, I think he physically probably could do something late off-season program, June-ish, but no need to rush him, and he sounds like he's not going to rush it. So I would say the start of training camp for him.
Drew Rush likes to ask questions like this. It's been a kind of common one going back to the draft last year and everything. After this season, he says, who do you think deserves to be on the side of Lucas Oil Stadium?
Oh, wow. Who's on it now? Luck, Vinatieri, Hilton, and the logo, the 35-year anniversary.
So, yeah. So maybe it could be 2. Vinny maybe could be going down.
Let's say it's Luck, Hilton. Let's keep Vinny up there. You got to put Darius Leonard for the logo, right?
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Probably makes sense.
Okay, now let's say Vinatieri's gone. Who are you putting up there? Who's the 4th?
Nelson. You have 2 rookie All-Pros. I mean, come on. The last ones to do that was freaking Butkus and Sayers. They make movies about those guys.
Yeah, when you put in those terms, there's no debate. Yeah. If Malik Hooker would have had a great year, maybe him just to balance out your offense and defense. But no, I think you're right, Joey.
This one comes from Mount Everest Part D. What was the one thing that stood out the most in Ballard's press conference?
Pull up that article. I was interested about the just his love for Jacoby Brissett and his outspokenness to potentially drive up a little bit of market value. I asked him, Joey, the question of last offseason, last year this time, you were very candid to, you were very candid in talking about the offensive line. You were very candid in saying you needed to make improvements there. Is there a position group that stands out to you this season? He didn't mention that, but then he got into pass rush, defensive line. He briefly mentioned receiver, but he threw in a caveat of I feel like Frank can develop playmakers. Eric Ebron wasn't that kind of a number 2 wideout. And I know he's never been a really high guy on investing major resources in receiver. So I still think it's a pretty big need, but I don't know if Chris Ballard looks at it in the same way I do.